What's happening, everybody? I'm Todd Tanner. This is Wrestling News Now. Now, can you dig it, sucker? I'm talking about the one and only tonight, Booker T. Remember him? King Booker in the WWE. It's all going down on tonight. Let's get right down to it. If you're new to Wrestling News Now with Todd Tanner, you know this is a profile video program here because I talk about everybody within the world of professional wrestling known as wrestling entertainment, and I also bring wrestling news at the same time. So if you like it, hit the like button and also hit subscribe. Let's talk about the one and only Booker T. Booker T. Huffman Jr., better known by his ring name Booker T. He is an American professional wrestler. I like to say an African American professional wrestler, wrestling promoter, and color commentator. He is currently signed to WWE and is also the owner and founder of the independent reality of wrestling based in Texas City, Texas. So how did it all start for the one and only Booker T? Well, let's find out on tonight, and people will be surprised to know about his beginnings and how he continues to just get better and better and better. Booker T. Huffman Jr. was born on the 1st of March of 1965. Better known, as I said, by his ring name, Booker T. is an African-American professional wrestler. He's also professional wrestling promoter and color commentator. He is currently signed to WWE and is also the owner and founder of the independent-based promotion Reality of Wrestling, or ROW, in Texas City, Texas. Booker has been named by peers and industry commentators as one of the greatest professional wrestlers of his era. He was voted WWE's greatest world heavyweight champion in a 2013 viewer poll. Congratulations, folks. Well, I'd love to just interview him one day. I don't know how, but somehow we're going to pull it off one day. Booker is best known for his time in World Championship Wrestling, the World Wrestling Federation / Entertainment, WWF, WWE, and Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, or TNA, holding a total of 35 championships between those organizations. He is the most decorated wrestler in WWC history, having held 21 titles, including a record 6 WCW World Television Championships, along with being the first African American title holder. Wow. And a record 11 WCW World Tag Team Championships, 10 as one half of Harlem Heat with his brother, Lash Stevie Ray Huffman. And I know you remember Harlem Heat. They were with their manager, the late Sherry, God rest her soul. God rest her soul, rather. You know, they were an unbeatable tag team. They had a great run. And with his brother Stevie Ray Huffman in WCW, most reigns within that company and one in the WWF with Test. Booker was the final WCW World Heavyweight Champion and WCW United States Heavyweight Champion with the active WCW organization. Booker is a 6-time world champion in professional wrestling, having won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship 5 times and WWE's World Heavyweight Championship once. With his 5th WCW Championship win, which occurred in the WWF, Booker T became the second African American to win a world championship in WWE after The Rock, and also the first to be of non-mixed race. He is also the winner of the 2006 King of the Ring tournament, the 16th Triple Crown champion, and the 8th Grand Slam champion under original format in WWE history as the 9th WCW Triple Crown champion. Booker is one of 5 men to achieve both the WWE and WCW Triple Crowns. He has headlined multiple pay-per-view events in the WWF, the WWE, WCW, and TNA throughout his career. Booker was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame on April 6th of 2013 by his brother Lash. Both he and Lash were inducted together into the 2019 class, on April 6, 2019 as Harlem Heat, rendering Booker a two-time Hall of Famer. So where did he come from? How did it all start? Huffman was born the youngest of 8 children in Harlem. Though his birthplace is often misidentified as Houston, Texas. You know, Harlem, everybody goes to Harlem. The one and only Satchmo sang that song, Louis Armstrong. By the time Booker was 13, both of his parents had died, and he lived with his 16-year-old sister. He would move in with his older brother, Stevie Ray, at age 17. In high school, Huffman was a drum major. He also played football and basketball. At 6'3", what a phenomenal athlete. As a single father working at a storage company in Houston, Texas, Huffman was looking to make a better life for himself and his son. His brother Lash, Stevie Ray, suggested that he and Booker check out a new wrestling school being opened run by Ivan Putski, Polish Power. In conjunction with his Western Wrestling Alliance organization, his boss from the storage company sponsored the money to pay for the wrestling lessons. Booker trained under Scott Casey, who helped to turn Booker's background as a gangster and dancer into professional wrestling, teaching the newcomer in-ring psychology and ring generalship. 8 weeks later, Booker debuted as G.I. Bro on Putski's Western Wrestling Alliance Live program. The character was a tie-in to the raging Gulf War and the WWF Sergeant Slaughter angle. Even though the WWA met its demise sometime later, Booker continued to wrestle on the Texas independent circuit, often with his brother Lash, who performed as Stevie Ray. They were spotted by Skandor Akbar, who hired them to work for the Global Wrestling Federation. Gilbert teamed Stevie Ray and Booker T together as the Ebony Experience, and they won the GWF Tag Team Championship on July 31st, 1992. During their time with GWF, they held the tag title a total of 3 times. Subsequently, Booker T and Stevie Ray left the GWF to work for World Championship Wrestling. And you know it was on and popping from there. You better believe it. Booker and his brother Stevie Ray signed with World Championship Wrestling after Sid Vicious recommended they sign with the company. In August 1993, they debuted as the tag team Harlem Heat, with Booker renamed Cole and Lash renamed Kane. They became heels and were on Harley Race and Colonel Rob Parker's team in the War Games match at Fall Brawl on September 19th against Sting, Davey Boy Smith, Dustin Rhodes, and the Shockmaster. They lost the match but were over as heels because of the caliber of faces they wrestled. In 1994, they acquired the services of Sensational Sherry, dubbed Sister Sherry, as their manager, and changed their names back to Booker T and Stevie Ray at their request. By the end of 1994, they held the WCW Tag Team Championship after defeating Stars and Stripes, the Patriot, and Marcus Alexander Bagwell in December. After dropping the title to the Nasty Boys, Harlem Heat regained the belts on July 24th, 1995. Afterward, Harlem Heat got into a feud with Colonel Parker's stud stable of Dirty Dick Slater and Bunkhouse Buck. Parker and Sherry were carrying on a love affair, and Parker eventually left the stud stable in favor of the Heat to be with Sherry. Harlem Heat won the WCW World Tag Team titles at Fall Brawl 1995, defeating Dick Slater and Bunkhouse Buck. Their third title reign only lasted 1 day, but the duo regained the tag team title 9 days later from the American males Buff Bagwell and Scotty Riggs. On the June 24, 1996 Nitro, Harlem Heat defeated Lex Luger and Sting to capture their 5th WCW World Tag Team titles. 3 days after losing the tag team titles to the Steiner brothers, Harlem Heat regained the titles back from the Snyders on July 27th. On September 23rd, Booker T and Stevie Ray were defeated by Public Enemy, Rocco Rock, and Johnny Grunge. but took the titles back for the 7th time on October 1st. They lost the Tag Team Championship to the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, on October 27th. Subsequently, they fired Colonel Parker and beat him up and became full-fledged faces. They then entered into a brief feud against Colonel Parker's newest team, the Amazing French Canadians. A feud they won. In 1997, they feuded with Public Enemy, Grunge and Rocco, the Steiners, and the NWO. In fall 1997, they fired Sherry and added a new manager, Jacqueline. They were briefly put out of action by the NWO and returned to feud with the Faces of Fear, Ming and the Barbarian. Stevie then took 5 months off from WCW to recover from an ankle injury, and Jacqueline left for the WWF. Booker made the transition into singles action and won the WCW World Championship from Disco Inferno on the December 29th, 1997 episode of Nitro. Booker feuded over the title with Perry Saturn and Rick Martel, culminating in a gauntlet match at Super Brawl 8. Martel, the man that was originally supposed to win the match, went down early due to a knee injury, meaning the finish and the remainder of the match had to be called in the ring. During spring 1998, Booker began feuding with Chris Benoit. Benoit cost Booker the TV title during a match against Fit Finlay. As a result, Booker and Benoit engaged in a best-of-7 series, with the winner meeting Finlay for the title after 7 matches. An interference from Bret Hart and Stevie Ray, Booker T won the series and on June 14th regained the television championship. Booker scored a clean pinfall victory over Bret Hart on the edition of February 22nd Nitro. Booker scored a clean pinfall victory over Bret Hart on the edition of February 22 of Nitro. The following month, he regained the TV championship from Scott Steiner, who in turn defeated Booker in the finals of the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship tournament. Booker lost the television title to Rick Snyder a month later at Slamboree. Booker has had such an amazing career in professional wrestling. I can't tell it all in one video, but I'll go on just a little bit further, and then we're going to wrap it up for the night. By mid-1999, Booker had convinced his brother Stevie Ray to leave the NWO and reunite with Harlem Heat. Harlem Heat defeated Bam Bam Bigelow and Canyon for the WCW World Tag Team titles at Road Wild. They lost the WCW World Tag Team titles to Barry and Kendall Windham, on August 23rd, but Harlem Heat regained them about a month later at Fall Brawl. When the Filthy Animals were stripped of the WCW World Tag Team belts due to an injury suffered by Rey Mysterio Jr., the title was put up in a 3-way dance at Halloween Havoc. Harlem Heat reclaimed their 10th WCW World Tag Team title, defeating Hugh Morris and Brian Knobbs and Conan and Kidman. By late 1999, a female bodybuilder named Midnight had joined Harlem Heat. Stevie Ray neglected her help and started disputing with Booker over her. This is part 1 to be continued. For now, I'm Todd Tanner for Wrestling News Now.